Veganism is becoming increasingly popular in the Western world. Google's searches for the plant-based diet have increased by 400% in the past decade. Yet, while much research has been conducted on the health impacts of being vegan, the economic feasibility of a majority vegan population remains relatively unstudied. We wanted to conduct research on this topic because of a conversation that arose about our own varying diets and how the spread of veganism would impact an industry as fundamental as the food industry when human eating habits have broadly, for the majority, been steadfast for centuries. This created the question, what are the macroeconomic and microeconomic impacts of veganism on the restaurant industry and wider food economy? We conceived 4 points of interest to expand upon in order to be able to form an answer for our research question. We hypothesized that a plant-based diet reduces supply-side costs due to cheaper production, shorter agricultural cycles, and easier transportation. However, due to this, we anticipate a short-term negative impact on the food production industry, as firms have to readjust strategy and update capital. Potentially, there might be one in the long run too, if easier production causes the industry to become oversaturated. On a microeconomic scale, we are going to examine the impact of veganism as a term. Vegan restaurants may be more profitable than non-vegan restaurants, but we believe that this may be due to price markups, basic supply and demand, and social media trends, rather than as a reflection of society's preferences. With regards to its unpopularity, there is debate to be had over the negative connotations around the term vegan, as it can deter non-vegans from ordering meals that they would normally eat as part of a healthy diet. We therefore believe that marketing plant-based foods alternatively will lead to greater success for vegan menu items.
We were able to find multiple sources that will help us to fulfill our research objectives. We will state the title, author, a short summary of the content, and rate the credibility of each source. The first assessed publication is Analysis and Valuation of Health and Climate Change Co-Benefits of Dietary Change, written by Marcus Springman in 2016. The paper researches the potential effects of a major part of the world population adopting a vegan diet by 2050. Anticipated benefits are, for example, that the global healthcare system could save between $1 and $31 trillion. We assess the credibility as medium to high, as the projections are made far into the future. Our next important source is Veganism and Vegetarianism in Europe, and was published by the research organization Statista in 2017. It's a 61-page dossier containing quantitative analysis of veganism in various European countries and sales numbers of vegan products in the UK. We assess the credibility as high because Statista is a professional research company. The third academic source is Do Vegetarian Marketing Campaigns Promote a Vegan Diet, written by James Waters in 2015. It examines whether the terms vegan, veganism, etc. influence people positively to change the diet. This source is of high credibility as the study was conducted objectively. The next academic source is Business Prospects of a First Vegan Pastry in Luxembourg, written by Michel Geffels in 2018. The study analyzes whether people are positively responding to the marketing terms vegan, veganism, etc. The results whether people preferred the promotion of benefits of veganism instead of the fact that the food is vegan. We assess the credibility is high because the research has been conducted thoroughly and to a high ethical standard. Our last academic source is Attitudes and Orientation Towards Vegetarian Food in the Restaurant Industry, an Operator Perspective, written by Manuel Rivera in 2017. The study shows that customers value the benefits of vegan food, but they prefer to disassociate themselves from the terms vegan and vegetarianism. It's a reliable source as it analyzes the topic in great detail without compromising on quality.
As for our non-academic research, here are the following sources we obtained. The first source we obtained is called The Impact of a Vegan Economy by Sam Cottle, published in International Policy Digest in 2018. Cottle is a non-vegan environmentalist who works in agriculture as a farmer. He argues that plant production is not as environmentally friendly as vegans claim it is. Given that he is an environmentalist, a passion he has proved by writing numerous articles in multiple publications, he shares a common goal with many vegans, so he is unlikely to be biased. His experience in the field of farming validates his knowledge, albeit it's just for his experience. The International Policy Digest is the online magazine that is generally regarded as unbiased. However, it does acknowledge that it provides a platform for marginalized writers. Our next source is called Veganism, Why Is It on the Top? By Laura Jones from BBC News. Laura Jones, a business and economics analyst with a prestigious Warwick degree in the subject, analyzes the different trends that contribute to the popularity of veganism. She references credible data collection sources in her article. The BBC is the oldest and largest broadcaster in the world. They have one of the highest rates of global exposure and are thoroughly fact-checked by individuals and numerous other media outlets. They consequently are impeccably transparent about all of their practices, every aspect of which is detailed on the website. Our third source is called The Economic Consequences of Veganism by Stuart Watkins, posted in Money Week in 2018. Watkins, an implied non-vegan, contrarily supports a majority vegan agricultural economy due to the economic benefits it purports. His article references reliable publishers for data, including peer-reviewed articles and results of scientific research, and his argument is based on these facts. Money Week is a popular British investment magazine. Its high exposure aids in credibility, as there is a large audience to fact-check. For our next source, we chose Consumer Trends in the Food and Beverage Industry, posted in Morning Consult in 2018. This insight poll for Morning Consult examines advertising and purchasing information from customers, including data on the rise of veganism. They have an extensive, technologically reliable opinion monitoring tools used with stratified sampling across 12 countries and 3,000 brands to conduct 5 million surveys a year. They are regarded as having one of the most accurate polls, particularly after their success with the U.S. presidential elections and being the official poll source for distinguished publications such as Bloomberg. Our final source is called All You Can Eat, the 15 most well-funded VC-backed food and beverage startups from CB Insights in 2017. CB Insights is a company which uses machine intelligence to synthesize, analyze, and visualize millions of documents in order to provide firms with insights, with a specialty in venture capitalism. Their claim that vegan firms are taking the lead in venture capitalist-backed food and beverages startups is founded purely in vast quantities of data. There is little scope for bias here, except for what existed in the data, and this should have been negated by the quantity.
Our research project will follow a mixed research strategy, both qualitative and quantitative, each more than one research method. We're going to do surveys, one batch for business and another for family and friends, getting at least 70 responses in total. One survey version will also be conducted face-to-face, catching customers leaving restaurants on the street. We will use surveys because the answers can be easily compared, reaches many people, they're anonymous, which can increase honesty, and they're time efficient for the user as well as low cost to distribute. However, we are mindful of the disadvantages like limited detail in the user responses, low response rates online, and the danger of leading questions. Case study will form another central element of our research. 2 case studies from secondary research will be compared to 2 case studies from primary research. We will build our case studies from interviews as well as surveys. We believe this will add great value because the case studies will concisely summarize primary, secondary, qualitative, and quantitative findings. Comparing the case studies will increase scientific rigor and reveal stronger patterns. A risk here is that the case studies will consume too much time to complete, as many factors will have to be taken into account. The scope should therefore be clearly defined beforehand. Interviews are another essential part of the research plan, giving us highly detailed qualitative data with room for entirely new findings, as the interviews will follow a semi-structured approach. We will conduct at least 7 interviews with vegan and non-vegan restaurants and then triangulate the findings with respective surveys, which we will send to the same restaurants. The interviews will take 5 to 10 minutes each, so not to make logistics too complicated. Finally, a literary analysis from secondary research will form the basis from which we will identify relevant factors to our research question. We aim to have the highest standard of ethical considerations in our research, which means no subjects under 18 years old, signing as an explicit privacy form when responding to our surveys and interviews, properly citing all secondary work used in our research, and maintaining a strict anonymity for all research participants. So what's the plan moving forward? For the next month, we've devised an action plan according to the SMART criteria. In week 1, we're going to send off test surveys to an initial batch of restaurants and friends, around 10 of them. We're going to facilitate at least 7 interviews and organize their logistics. And also going to start quantitative data collection from at least 5 quality data sets like Amadeus and so forth. Week 2, we're going to use the feedback from the surveys, revise them and send them off to everyone, at least anticipating 70 responses. We're going to hold interviews with restaurants, perform data analysis with the quantitative data, and identify 2 relevant case studies. Week 3, we're going to continue with the interviews and also compare and contrast the secondary case studies with our primary findings from the interviews. In week 4, we were going to prepare the data analysis for presentation, gather all the survey responses and assess the patterns through data analytics, and finally design the poster.
For team responsibilities, we have divided the work according to our strengths and areas where we would like to grow, and also assigning each team member a research objective.